Hey everybody, it's Pete. Welcome. Today we're going to discuss a fundamental part of trading, not fundamentals in the earnings reports, but fundamentals in how to find the easiest path to success. I know that's a big promise, but that's really what we're all after, right? We want to find ideas that make sense, find ideas that actually follow through, and just as importantly, find ideas that we have conviction in, that if we're going to put money in harm's way, that we feel good, that there's a good chance of us making a profit versus our stop loss getting hit. And that's really one of the biggest parts of understanding how to trade. I also want to address very briefly, if you happen to be swing trading right now, in the community, we've had a lot of discussions about the clarity between day trading ideas and swing trading ideas. And we've done a really good job of setting up both the pre-market game plan meeting, as well as the coaching calls and the community to make the separation between day trade ideas versus ideas you probably hold for like 3 to 5 to 10 days. So if you happen to be watching this right now and you're not in the boot camp, just be aware that boot camp is not just for active day traders. We have plenty of people in the community who are entrepreneurs, who are working another full-time job, watch the game plan meeting during the day, have the community on their phone on Slack during the day, and can participate. So I'm going to show you some of the core principles of how to find ideas. And if you want to take it a little bit further, definitely click down and learn more about the boot camp. I think that you'll find that it's a really good investment. So we're going to go through primary criteria, I guess is a good way to put it, of how to set yourself up in the simplest, quickest, easiest way to say that's a good idea versus that's an idea where I'm going to end up getting gray hair, which is really what we want to avoid. Look, trading is simple, but it's not easy, but it becomes easier when you know what you're looking at. That's a big part of trading. A lot of people come into trading believing that you need to know what's going to happen next, and that's not the truth. It's not. What you need to know is what's probably going to happen next, and that's what we're going to set up right now, because if you have an edge, it works over and over and over and over time, which means that probably most of the time it will do what you think. It's those other times where it doesn't work out that you have to act like a pro and pull the trigger on getting out of some trades because they're not working out. And then you actually learn how to hold the winners. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to do a walkthrough of what looks like good ideas and is there profit potential versus, gosh, that trade is a mess. Why would I put my money in that? And you'd be surprised how many people right now have come into the community, and the biggest thing that we've done is stopped the bad ideas. And that alone, just saving yourself a small fortune and understanding how to stay away from ideas is amazing, because all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I don't feel like I'm getting my head beat against the wall anymore. I don't feel like every time I put a trade on, as soon as I put it on, it moves against me. Then you get to the other side where now you recognize good ideas. You are only looking at good ideas. And now you let the edge do the hard work for you. It's not stressful for you anymore. You're letting the edge do the work. So we're going to start out with some of our favorite stocks, and then we're going to work our way down the list from yesterday, which happened to be which stocks are positive versus negative. And then we're going to work our way through what we believe to be the structure of how everybody should start looking at stocks right out of the gate. And I want to touch on a couple of things. I'm going to get feedback about moving averages and all these other types of indicators. I want to make it clear. I like to keep it simple because I don't want to think too hard. I want to see an edge or I don't see an edge, and I want to make a decision. And you want the same thing. You want to be able to go like that and say, I see that's a good idea, or, oh my gosh, why in the world would I commit capital to that? That's what trading's supposed to be. Trading's supposed to be that easy. Easy, but then you have to learn, we call the B, between entry and exit is where the money's made. So again, we cover all of that in the boot camp as well. People literally ask me, what's the entry price? What's the target? And then how to manage it within that. And that's the real value of having a community like that, is that we can go back and forth. So if you want to be a member of a community like we have, which I'm very privileged to be a part of, definitely click down and learn about it, because we really, really work hard and we have some really nice people in our community. So we're going to head over to the charts. We're going to start with Amazon, which just happened to be at the top of the list yesterday. You can see that we sorted it by percentage, by dollar change. We're actually going to sort it by percentage change. So we have the biggest dollar amount on the top. So it's interesting. Actually, you know what? Yeah, let's start with Amazon because this is actually a good example of it's a mediocre idea at best. It has the minimum criteria that we want to see, but then you have to assess what is the profit potential in the trade because there's a quote that I use for myself all the time, which is it might be a good buy now. Excuse me, it might be a good buy, but is it a good buy now? And that means that it might be obvious whether it's bullish or bearish, but is there opportunity to make money in exchange for the potential stop loss? And if you look at Amazon right now, and I want to focus first right here and right here. And I want to actually three different scenarios: right here, and right here. So this is what you might call the DNA of the beginning of good price action, of where you have the minimum criteria to have an idea. So we're starting out on the daily chart. And if you've watched some of the videos, if you watch the New York Method training session that I've done, I do it live once a month, you'll know that this means well bid. And well bid means higher highs, higher lows, and both of those candles closing on the highs. That means that we can reasonably expect follow through. And you see, we got that over the next 5 days. This is the opposite of that. That is well offered, where there's lower lows, lower highs, and closing near the lows. Now, this here appears to be the same, right? It's higher highs, higher lows, but the first candlestick is red. So look at that image and burn that in your mind, and look at that image and burn that in your mind. They appear to be the same, but they're not. This one you would have more conviction. This one you would not. It's even though it's well bid, even though the second candle minimum criteria closed strong, that would be what we would call day trading conviction because you have that minimum criteria on your side. Now, the next step in putting a trade together is what is the profit potential? Well, you can see we drew this line in Amazon, and pretty much every time it gets up to this price, right around 32.25, 32.50 in that area, it gets up there. It failed. Got above it, came right back down, got above it, failed. And now we're approaching it again. So what is the next trade in Amazon? What is the setup? Well, we have the minimum criteria here. It's not the perfect criteria like we saw over here, but it is good. So it's good, might not be A plus. Let's call it an A, not an A plus, because it is well bid on the daily chart. Now we look at the profit potential. We know that there's resistance. So what would we want to see in Amazon to set up a trade that we can have conviction in? Well, we'd want to see this. We'd want to see well bid, green and green above this level, because now we have what we call room to go. So we don't have that right now. If today goes well bid, again, higher highs, higher lows, and green, that would be consecutive green candles above where it has struggled with room to go. So now the question is, how could we make this even better? Well, this is 5 days worth of trading because this is a Monday through, this is 1 day trading, which is yesterday's price action. Now you would look out to the further time frame, and you'd want to see if the same thing is happening on the next chart, which is the weekly chart. So we look at that, and we actually do not have what we want to see. The last two candles are not green like this. They're not closing near the highs. Matter of fact, the previous week was red and closed near the lows. We actually have lower highs and lower lows. So that's actually well offered, but closing near the highs. So it's not perfect. So do you see how we start to put the pieces together? Now we're going to look at something different. We're going to go to FSLY from yesterday, and you could start to see where now FSLY consolidated, went well bid, and that well bid candlestick exploded into new price action. And we actually happen to be at all-time highs right now. So now we want to look and see, can we stack this equation a little bit more? And the answer is yes. We're well bid, and really well bid. Now, very similar to what we just discussed in Amazon, where there wasn't profit potential. Now you have to ask yourself, is there a trade to make today at all-time highs? And is it a day trade versus a swing trade? Well, the stock actually just went from 80, let's say $86 to $121. That's a pretty big move. That's 40 something dollars. Now, the most recent move that was similar to that was 46 to 87, so $40. So it's actually now just matched the previous biggest move that the stock has made over the same time period. Is the stock a long? Yes, of course. Is it a buy? Yes, of course. It's at all-time highs. However, is it a new swing trade right now, on top of the fact that it matched all that criteria? And for me, the answer is no, because you have to ask yourself, what does the stock normally do? Can it exceed what it normally does? Yes, of course, it's at all-time highs. But what are the odds of buying today, especially on a higher opening, and 3 to 5 days from now, this stock being higher? The odds are low because it already has exceeded what it normally does. So you can see here, as we're putting the pieces together, it's not as simple as do I want to buy or sell. And this is really trading at the highest levels. We have in the community something called hashtag trade like a pro. And this is what I'm known for. I'm known for order flow. I'm known for building the argument, because there's so much more to being profitable than just saying I want to buy or chasing price. And that's actually one of the biggest problems I think that swing traders have as well. They pull up scanners, they watch the news and like, oh gosh, the stock is going up. But what and they buy it, but don't realize that the stock has already gone up 5 days in a row. They don't realize the stock has already exceeded what it normally does, and they end up buying the stock. It pulls back, they take a stop loss on the trade, and then 5 days later, it does exactly what it wanted to do, what you thought it was going to do, but your timing was off. So this is kind of exciting to really put together the pieces to say, okay, I know exactly what I'm looking at, and it is or it is not an idea. And you go through those time frames. You look at the daily chart. Is it well bid? Is it green? Were both of them well bid? Was it closing near the highs? How much room is there to go? How many days in a row was it well bid? Now you go over to the weekly chart and you say, okay, is the weekly chart well bid? And you can see a pretty good difference there on Amazon, where it's well bid on the daily, not perfect, and well offered on the weekly, absolutely not perfect. And you have resistance there. So these are the kind of fun pieces to the puzzle where once you get it, you're like, damn, you can make all those decisions at the moment, but you need to learn the structure. We just touched on a little tiny piece of it here, but the real magic happens when we can have conversations in our coaching calls, in our community, in our forum. So I hope this gives you a little bit of structure to, at the very least, be able to look at a chart and say, that's not well bid. Why would I want to buy it? It's actually still going down. Or why would I want to buy it? You know, maybe it's in an uptrend, and a choppy uptrend for the last 6 months, but yesterday it went well bid. Can I buy it today? Yes, but with less conviction. And that's really what makes trading exciting, because now it's not confusing anymore. It's not overwhelming anymore. You know exactly what to look for. Then it's just a question of, is there profit potential and what are the odds of it getting up there? So definitely think about this. Watch this a couple of times. And I think it'll be kind of fun to go back and look at your charts immediately and say, wow, I never noticed that before. And then you can't unsee it. Then when you add a couple of other patterns that we use on the candlesticks, the whole thing really comes together, and you really start to learn where we have our favorite entry signal. We have something called melted candles. We have fuel. We have exhaustion. And all of those pieces come together where you really, you're in control of making money, and you kind of force the stock market to give you money at that point once you understand how to put these pieces together. So hope that helped. Definitely subscribe to the channel. And if you have any questions, click down and learn about the bootcamp. I'd love to see you on the other side. Have a great day, everybody.